and the Red Card event. We're about to launch our schools competition. It's a big event that we have every year. It's really important. It's absolutely fantastic. And we have a brilliant range of speakers this afternoon to talk about the competition and to talk about Show Racism, the Red Card. So my first duty and responsibility, and indeed pleasure, is to introduce to you Kevin Courtney, who is the Joint General Secretary of the National Education Union. Both Kevin personally and the National Education have got a very, very long history of supporting Show Racism, the Red Card. Anti-racist work is very important to the National Education Union, as it is to Kevin personally. So we're delighted to have you here, Kevin. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Christine, and hi to everybody watching. And Christine certainly knows about the long record of the union in this work, because she was the General Secretary before me and was really involved in Show Racism, the Red Card at that time. I think educators, teachers, support staff, head teachers, they have a significant place in the development of children and the way they see the world. In the nursery classes, they are in this really special place where they see children who come to school who don't know what race they are, who don't know what religion they are, who just play with other children in school. They also see sometimes not very nice attitudes amongst some children, and they challenge those not very nice attitudes, quite often successfully. They also see young people who, hearing not very nice attitudes around them, say, Miss, I'm an anti-racist. And children, even in the hardest schools, have that sort of appreciation of themselves in our country. Now, dealing with racism is a serious business, but it can actually be fun to be an anti-racist as well. And I think this is something that the Show Racism, the Red Card schools competition brings together. An annual event where a head teacher can take the lead on this, a member of support staff can take the lead, working with a class on how they think about racism, how they think about their classmates, how they want the world to be as one. And every year we see fantastic contributions from schools up and down the country of young people, in their own words, talking about the way they want the world to be. And I tell you, there is something really life-affirming about getting young people to work in that way. Now, sometimes there is a misunderstanding about Show Racism, the Red Card. People think it's a football charity trying to deal with racism in football on the terraces, etc. And that's important work, but that's not what Show Racism, the Red Card is about. Show Racism, the Red Card is about using children's enthusiasm for sports to get in and help to challenge racist attitudes. So Shaka, who's on the call, Monty Panesar, who's on the call, using their prestige with young people who look up to them, young children from all races, from all ethnicities, from all religions, who will look up to footballers, look up to cricketers, see in them heroes of theirs, and then be won to an understanding, to understanding there's a need to challenge racist attitudes, and I need to celebrate the fact that we are all brothers and sisters in this world, that the world is all going to be a lot better if it's love between people that dominates and not hatred. And that for me is what Show Racism, the Red Card, the schools competition is about. It's allowing those sorts of conversations, talking about football, talking about cricket, but then looking for those statements from from children in schools that teachers, that support staff, that head teachers can take a lead on. And if you're a teacher or a head teacher watching this, you know that the curriculum is very compressed, that there's a lot of other work that you are trying to do with the classes, getting them ready for exams, all the other things that we have to do. So taking a moment in the year to have the schools competition, to talk about who's won it at the end of it, there's a real way of getting anti-racism, getting these things into the school curriculum, supported by so many people. It's a safe thing to do. It's a safe way of having conversations with children about all of these issues. And it's fantastic that we can use this competition in this way to stimulate those sorts of attitudes. Now, I'm been very lucky in the last few years, since I became General Secretary after Christine, to be presenting prizes at this, and sometimes in Cardiff, sometimes in a big football stadium, because there's a Wales competition, an England schools competition, and really pleased there's a Scottish schools competition, and our sister union in Scotland, EIS, really involved in this call today as well. But I've been presenting prizes at these big football clubs, and to see the children who come to, and let's hope, fingers crossed, that this year these presentations are in real life, not on Zoom calls, because to see children in those palaces of football, in those temples of football, receiving the prizes, the looks on their faces, the looks on their teachers' faces when their class gets called up and when there's a prize, it's fantastic to be involved with this competition. Whether you're judging it, whether you're working in the schools, it's fantastic work that we are doing through the Show Racism, the Red Card Schools competition. So I'm really pleased to be here this afternoon. Really pleased. I'm going to listen to what Shaka and Monty Panesar and what Asif from the EIS say about all the work that they're doing as well. Fantastic work. Thanks for watching this call. Make sure this schools competition is spreading wider and wider. Find the time in your school to take part in the competition, to get your class to take part in this competition, and I'll see you at the prize giving. Thanks very much for listening.
Kevin, that's fantastic. The passion for this competition really shone through there, and that's a really, there you are. There's an instruction from your Joint General Secretary to all NEU members. Get this done in your school. It's really important. We've also got greetings, of course, from Mary, who's the Joint General Secretary with Kevin, but who is doing some parliamentary work at the moment. Thank you very much for finding the time to be with us, Kevin. And I know lots of teachers will rise to that challenge of finding the time to do this competition. And now we're going to move to Paul Cairns, who's the Deputy Chief Executive of Show Racism, the Red Card, and who over the years has made a huge contribution to Show Racism, the Red Card, so that it's really in the great state that it's in today. So Paul, you're going to tell us lots of details about the competition. Over to you.
I am, Christine. Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful greeting. Yeah, the Show Racism, the Red Card School competition is the UK's largest equalities theme competition. It encompasses different categories for pupils who are starting out in school and right up to higher education. The only condition for entry is that young people first work with Show Racism, the Red Card educational resources in a classroom setting. We welcome entries based around artwork, poetry, creative writing, clothing, and multimedia. The last couple of years have offered us all a stark reminder of the scale and, sadly, the devastating impact of racism. But young people have been inspired to ask difficult questions, to want to learn more about racism, and more crucially, to learn more about anti-racism. They want to know more about the Black Lives Matter movement and what's happening in the world. The competition inspires young people all across England, Scotland and Wales, and it gives them a sense of empowerment, a sense that they can do something about racism. It provides school pupils with the opportunity to take ownership of the anti-racism message. Last year, over 27,000 young people took part in the 2021 competition. And over the last 18 months or so, we've developed some really exciting partnerships. I won't steal their thunder, but I'm really excited about some of the prizes that our supporters will be offering this year. And we're going to hear from a few of them this afternoon. One of our supporters, Hunter, sadly are unable to join us today, but they provided backpacks for each of the winners in the 2021 competition. And we're grateful for their support again this year. As we are to EA Sports, Usborne Books and Kickers. And I'm delighted that they're joining us today to outline their support. And we're looking forward to hearing soon from Shola, Nicola and Jazz. As many of you will know, last year was the 25th anniversary of Show Racism, the Red Card, but it's not a time to celebrate. It's more a time to reflect on some of the achievements and some of our successes, whilst also recognising how much further we still have to go. It would be remiss of me not to acknowledge the support of two of our biggest sponsors who've been with us every step of the way on that journey so far. So I wanted to take this opportunity today to thank Unison, and of course Kevin and yourself, Christine, and the NEU for the unwavering support that has made the competition what it is today. The closing dates this year are, in England, the 18th of March, the 1st of April in Scotland, and the 8th of April in Wales. I would personally encourage all teachers and all schools to register and get involved. The competition is a fantastic opportunity to promote a strong anti-racism message with your pupils at a time when it's more needed than ever. This event will be available on social media afterwards. I would ask teachers to show it to young people. Let them listen to Rachel, Colin, Monty, Kieran, and Shaka, all about the importance of anti-racism. This year's awards ceremonies are, like most other things in the world right now, still a little uncertain. But as Kevin said, we're hopeful that government advice and the public health situation will allow us to hold face-to-face events this year in England, Scotland, and Wales for the first time since 2019 competition awards. Kevin, your words about palaces and temples of football, I have to make it clear at this point that Anfield hasn't been confirmed as the host of this year's events, but we will be working to do so if we possibly can. And to everyone on the call, thanks for your support, and let's make this year's competition bigger and better than ever.
Thanks so much, Paul. Brilliant contribution. So Anfield, but other football stadia are available, huh? We're delighted that you gave us such a clear account of that, and the enthusiasm for the competition shone through from you too. Okay, so now we're going to hear some endorsements of the competition and what it can do and what it should do. And let me first of all say she played nearly 200 times for Arsenal and enjoyed spells at Fulham, at Birmingham City, as well as other clubs, including including Wildcats in New Jersey. She represented Great Britain at the 2012 London Olympics and is currently England's most capped player ever. Rachel has played for England 129 times and she was awarded an OBE for her services to the game. She's a legend. And we congratulate her not only for all of those things, but also for looking so bright and breezy when she became a mum for the second time just a few months ago. Rachel Yankee, we are delighted to have you with us. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Yeah, well, she's just on my lap sleeping, so hopefully she doesn't wake up and you won't hear her. Yeah, thank you for that nice introduction. Unfortunately, I'm not the most capped anymore. Farrah Williams has overtaken me, but still a good achievement. I had good times. To speak about the competition, you know, it's such a fantastic competition. I love going to Show Racism, the Red Card events, and always seeing the competitions, the work that the children have done, and you know, the pictures, the posters, the poems, and it always inspires me. I don't want to say amazes me, because I think sometimes we don't give children enough credit, or young people enough credit for the work that they can do, and the way that if you give them a platform and a safe space to ask uncomfortable questions, or usually that we feel uncomfortable as adults, they can explore and investigate and come out with some brilliant pieces of work. And that's what I've seen, and that's why I'll always try to, any schools that I've been into, try to encourage them to join in and go on to this competition and get their kids involved, because I think it's absolutely fantastic for opening up conversations and inspiring young people to be better than what we've all been.
That's great. Thank you so much, Rachel. And perfect baby, just stayed on your lap absolutely brilliantly. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, and now we move from the football arena to the cricket field. And our next guest played cricket for Northamptonshire, for Essex and Sussex, as well as overseas in South Africa. And he represented England. He's represented England internationally in test matches, in one-day internationals, and in the 2020 game. And now I might get my numbers wrong here, but I'm reliably informed that during a career, he took an impressive 125 wickets in his test career. I think that may be true, Monty. I do hope so. We're now joined by patron Monty Panesar. Monty, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you for that lovely introduction, Christine, and thank you for everyone else joining in. I think, Show Racism, the Red Card is a brilliant charity that have, Jed has obviously created with Shaka Hislop, the history of that from Newcastle when he first experienced, racism sort of 25 years ago, kind of just shows the work that they have done and how far they have come. And, that sort of, taboo that it's only there to help footballers is in fact, not true. They've teamed up with the MCC before the Azim Rafiq case that happened. And I actually went to one of the educational seminars, which was, to my sort of surprise, I learned a lot about things which thinking of myself, being a British Asian, maybe I know, quite a lot about sort of racism, but there's actually, the visible racism is obviously, the color of the skin, which is quite natural for us to, discriminate people with, but the invisible stuff, like the background, the education that you have, and all these sort of prejudgments that we make. And I think they're doing a terrific job, with the MCC in terms of the employees to just get a bit more of a firmer understanding how, environment. And I wish them all the best for 2022, and I hope they continue to do the great work that they're doing with football, cricket, and the rest of society. Thank you.
Monty, thank you so much for joining us today. And we hope that there's an opportunity to see you in real life at some point this year. So we've now heard from football, from cricket, and now we move to the basketball court. We have Kiran Ashara, who has played basketball, frankly, in more countries than lots of people have actually visited. He's played in Italy, in Spain, in England, in Scotland, in Bulgaria, and in the US. And he now plays for Glasgow Rocks, which sounds terrific to me. And he represented Great Britain in the 2012 London Olympics too. So, Kieran, we're delighted to have you on the call. The floor is yours.
Happy to be here. You missed Greece, by the way. And
I miss Greece. Oh,
and
gosh.
I've actually retired 3 years ago. I know I look way too young to retire, but yeah, I retired from the sport. But yeah, again, thank you for having me here. And I guess the message and I want to kind of say from this whole competition thing and the work that Show Racism and Red Card do, I'm looking at it from a different space. I grew up in a predominantly white area, one of only people of colour. And for me, it was that feeling of I just never fitted in. I didn't feel welcome. And I think actually seeing the work that kind of goes on in schools to this day with Show Racism and Red Card and specifically this competition, it's that feeling of actually I am a part of something. People do care. People do want to make a difference. And that's what I think for me, from that anti-racism stance, it kind of gives you that sense of belonging, and that's what we want to create here in society. We want to make sure that everybody feels welcome, everyone feels included. There was something I want to sum up on that situation as a perfect example of this was when you were thinking about the inclusion space, it was thinking about like going into a party, you've been invited to the party, everyone's been invited to the party now, that's where that equality, but that inclusion thing is the feeling, that sense of actually people want me to go up and dance with them and I feel comfortable to go up and dance. And that's where I want this thing to go within the schools. I want people to feel that they're a part of something, that people stand and support. And the more of that support you can get throughout that schooling, with the teacher support, with the pupil support, that's the only way we're going to get closer together as a society. And just to finish on that, right now, I actually want to mention that just something a little bit different, but we're actually working on another project with Show Racism and Red Card, and we're actually looking to kind of create that bank of videos of people sharing their stories, speaking out on anti-racism, the experiences of racism. And so it's a project that we're kind of working on right now, and I'm so proud to be partnering with Show Racism and Red Card, because we believe that people need to hear these things and they need to be educated, and they need to have support for the people who are experiencing it, for the other people who maybe don't know enough about racism. It's a chance to help that learning grow and create that legacy. So that voices piece will be shown on the Show Racism and Red Card website. And I want to make sure we kind of get to the point. And actually, I've got Shaka on the call here today, who's also been interviewed for that. So I want to thank you for that, Shaka. I don't know if I have time to share my screen. I could show you a little bit of clip of Shaka's video. Do we have time for that? Anybody?
Go.
Let's see. So this was Shaka kind of talking about the difficulties of speaking out against racism while he was playing. So this is a little bit of clip from Shaka's video. Let's see if this works. Everybody see that?
Yeah.
Yep. So like I said, this was Shaka speaking up on the difficulty of speaking out against racism while he was still playing.
Initially, it felt more difficult and I think it turned out to be, especially looking in hindsight. One of the things in speaking out against racism that you're never quite sure of when you make that decision is the kind of support that you do get. But I have to say, I got a lot of support from the Newcastle dressing room, from Newcastle United as a football club, and that made things easier. Of course, there's always a lot of pushback by people who feel and want to believe otherwise and want to maintain the status quo. But once you firmly believe in who you are, in the right of what you're saying, it becomes a lot easier. Initially, it felt more difficult and I think it turned out to be,
We're back with you,
Sorry.
Kieran. Thank
No,
you very
problem.
much. Thank you very much for that. And we're really looking forward to what comes out of Scotland. I love your party analogy about being invited to a party, but then you have to be welcomed once you actually get there, don't you?
Definitely.
Yeah, really,
I don't know where I stole that from, so don't credit me for it, but it definitely does stuck and resonated with me. So yeah.
Great. That's great. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, so we've been with football, we've been with cricket, we've had basketball, and now we're moving to what I have to say is actually my favourite spectator sport. It's rugby. We're delighted that we have with us Colin Jarvis, whom I think we probably met at one of the presentations when we were still able to meet in real life. Colin played 94 times for Wales. I'm going to stop saying numbers because I keep getting them wrong. But anyway, let's hope it's right. 94 times. And I'm reliably informed that you're most known for your attacking but positive style, which makes you one of the highest scoring forwards in Wales. And at club level, you played for London Welsh, Swansea, Newcastle Dragons, and I bet I've missed one. It's great to have you here today, Colin. Thank you very much for joining us. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to be invited to join you all in this conversation. Numbers-wise, I think you were pretty much spot on. Any more, and people start to yawn very quickly. The rest in my mind, but I guess what I was probably most famous for was the ridiculous haircut, which he didn't fit in with most rugby players during the 90s and noughties. But I've stuck with it, and hopefully it'll last for a fair few more years. But we're here today with the launch of the Show Racism the Red Card children's competition, and I think for myself and my involvement with this children's competition here in South Wales, well, actually covering all of Wales, has been the children show an enthusiasm for what they're producing. They show a genuine interest in the work that they're doing. And it's their young, inquisitive minds that really impresses, that they ask a lot of questions that we normally don't ask. And, they're inquisitive. They want to understand about each other's cultures. They want to understand about each other's origins. And I think it's kind of weird as a former rugby player that, we were pretty much just taught, stick with resilience and tolerate on and off the pitch. But the reason I enjoy being around the children so much is they're not resilient little things, are they? They're more inquisitive. They want to ask questions and they want to discover things about one another. And I think it's that fresh enthusiasm that keeps me coming back to this competition. So there's no real light bulb moment for me, other than when I joined the charity back when I was playing for Newcastle. I met the guys up there. There was no light bulb moment when it came to when I realised that I shouldn't be tolerating taunts from the stand, or I shouldn't be tolerating things on the pitch. But for me, it's about moving forward and seeing how the children don't tolerate. They ask questions, they use enthusiasm and their own intuition to work things out, and it's more important about keeping that going. And to be frank, some of the ideas they come up with, will ask a few questions of myself and maybe others. That it's the way these minds work that we can all learn from.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much, Colin. I hope you'll be around when we get to have the award ceremony in Wales, and maybe one of these days I'll get to come back to one. Thank you very much for joining us. We've now completed our round trip round 4 sports in quite a whirlwind fashion, and now, with thanks to all of those contributors, we're now going to move to messages from the competition supporters. You heard this from Paul when he gave his introduction. We're now going to first of all hear from Shola Kasali from EA Sports. The floor is yours, Shola.
Thanks, Christine. Hi, everyone. Thanks very much for having me. I'll keep it short and sweet so that you don't have to hear from me this whole time. But at EA Sports, of course, we're super proud once again to be partnering with Show Racism, the Red Card this year. Last year, we were able to work together to create a comic book with Hamza Chowdhury that showed the importance of representation in sport, and we were able to distribute that comic to schools across England, Scotland, and Wales, which was fantastic. Last year's competition, of course, we gifted the winners with a copy of FIFA 21, which went down a treat with many students, which was lovely. But this year, we want to go even bigger and bigger and better with the winners by allowing the winners' creative, to be integrated into the game later this year. So we want to reinforce the Show Racism, the Red Card message and showcase the students' work actually within our game, which I think is a phenomenal feat that we're working through with Paul and the team. So please, if you are listening, do get your students to sign up to the competition because they just might be in the game. But there will be more information coming out within a few weeks, so please keep a lookout. But until then, thank you very much for having me, and we'll hand over to Nicola.
Shola, that's great. Thank you very much. And we will we'll move on now to Nicola Osborne from Usborne Books.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nicola Osborne. I should say I've not represented my country at any sports ever. I spend a lot of time sitting at my desk, and I'm slightly awed by the company on this call. It's incredibly impressive. So I run children's publisher at Usborne Publishing, and we've been working with Show Racism Red Card for the last couple of years, and we're very proud to have published 2 books together. I think these competitions are brilliant. It's fantastic that so many young people have produced so much thoughtful, creative and informative work around the topic of anti-racism while these competitions have been running. In fact, I've only just taken down last year's beautiful calendar. It's been hanging behind me in pride of place, and I know that showcased some of the most striking works on paper from the last competition. I'm looking forward to my new one. I'm sure that the standard will be really high again this year, and we're really pleased to participate again. So we'll be giving each winner in England, Scotland and Wales some Usborne books that are appropriate to their age level. We can't wait to see the work that is produced, and thank you to everyone who's put together this very important initiative.
Thank you so much, Nicola. The Usborne Books has done some great work with Show Racism the Red Card so far, and we really look forward to carrying on with you. And now we move to Kickers, Penton Brands. Yasmin Brennan, yes, we're pleased to have you with us. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Christine. Wow, guys, like such amazing prizes on offer. So as Christine said, I'm Jasmine Brennan here from Kickers with Penton Brands, and we're absolutely delighted to be back again this year supporting Show Racism the Red Card at the National Schools Competition. As a brand, Show Racism the Red Card is a key charity partner for us here at Kickers, and we're so pleased to be supporting such an important cause. Not only with the National Schools Competition, but also helping Show Racism the Red Card drive awareness of anti-racism education across the UK. Last year at the National Schools Competition, we were completely blown away by all of the incredible entries you guys submitted from all across the country. Whether it was poetry or songs or films or t-shirt designs, we saw it all. And the creative talent that was on display was just amazing. The work, the dedication and the passion that went into every single piece was evident from the get-go. And we found it so inspiring to see such creative expressions being so poignant in their voice for anti-racism. Not only are we delighted to have been invited back again to judge these incredible pieces of work, but we are also supporting with the competition prize, similar to last year, of 150 mitre footballs. And we're looking forward to seeing again how we can support with similar prizes this year. As we began and we begin the 2022 National Schools Competition, we want to encourage everyone to get involved and really show their support for such an incredible event. We also want to wish everyone entering this year the best of luck, and we look forward to judging your work soon. So in the meantime, as a brand, we will continue to work closely with Show Racism and Red Card and support all of the work, the amazing work that they do. So thank you so much for inviting us here, and looking forward to this year.
So thank you once again to those three supporters who were able to join us today. Shola from EA Sports, Nicola from Usborne Books, and Yaz from Kickers. We are delighted that you're with us, and I'm sure that you're looking forward to the competition as much as the rest of us. Okay, now we move to what I think of as my sister union. The union in Scotland, the Educational Institute of Scotland. I'm bound to tell you, Asif, that I'm actually a fellow of the Institute of Education in Scotland, and the Education Institute of Scotland. Asif Shasti, who's joining us, is a modern foreign languages teacher. He's a member, of course, of EIS, and he's the president of Fife EIS and a big supporter of Show Racism the Red Card. But importantly, he's with us today because he is the chair of the EIS Anti-Racist Committee. We're delighted to have you, Asif. The floor is yours.
Thank you. It's a great honour to be here at the 2022 launch of the creative competition for this year. And most of what I say just now is going to be aimed at pupils, not just pupils in Scotland, but students across Britain. And I've got a few messages for my fellow teachers at the end as well. So I personally cannot wait to see the entries from this year's competition. I really enjoy looking at the posters and other creative entries every year because it gives me hope. It gives me hope that you, the young people, the next generation, care. You care about the world around you and you care about the people around you. That gives me a lot of hope for the future. Sometimes it's the creativity of the entries that I really like. Other times it's the beautiful presentation of them, and often it's the fantastic message that's behind the entry. And that's one great thing about the competition. It plays to so many different skill sets that young people have. So for every young person out there, there's an opportunity for you to create something that's really great. I've got a couple of bits of advice that I'd offer to the pupils and students who are thinking about taking part. First thing I would say is have a go, get involved. So enter the competition. And if you've not heard anything about it in your school so far, then when you go into school tomorrow, ask your teachers about it. Have a think about what the topic is going to be of your entry. Is it an issue that's close to your heart? An issue around racism that's happened in your community, that's happening in the country around us, or perhaps even one that's touched your personal life or your school life. And think about which audience you want to address as well. Do you want a message that's aimed at the victims of racism, or at the perpetrators, or at bystanders? And finally, I just wanted to have a couple of words with my fellow teachers. We as teachers were perhaps uniquely placed to help tackle the blight of racism in our society. And sometimes as teachers, we're looking for opportunities to tackle the issues that we care about. Doesn't matter what subject or what stage you teach, take the plunge and get involved. Last week, I was watching a film of the musical Hamilton, and one of the songs stuck in my head, and it's called I'm Not Going to Give Up My Shot. So that's what I'd say to teachers. Don't give up your shot. Don't give up your opportunity to get involved about an issue that you're really passionate about defeating racism in our society. And finally, I'd say to everybody that enters the competition, good luck. I can't wait to see your work.
That's fantastic, Asif. Thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for giving that brilliant advice and encouraging both teachers and students to get involved in this competition. Okay, so you've heard a lot about all the brilliant material that's produced by all of the brilliant young people and their teachers who get involved in this competition. And now we have the opportunity to hear from the overall winner of last year's competition. I think we're going to see a film of it, and then we're hoping that Cleo will say a few words for us. So this is the last year's overall winner, the winner of the Show Races and the Red Card competition 2021.
White. Well, which one's right? If this is a race, who's first and who's last? What? Slavery, let it go, man, that was in the past. Oh, here we go again, you're pulling the race card. Surely being black isn't that hard. Me? A racist? No, my cousin's neighbour's black. So tell me why I'm still affected by my supposed past. I speak of my current oppression, but for some of you, it was just a little history lesson. I speak because I am less, because I am oppressed. I speak for the very simple fact that I am not like the rest. Almighty God, hear my cry. I'm still having to say all this, but why? I've seen a start, but sure ain't seen no end. I mean, you've still got people thinking racism is all just pretend. Oh, but it's real. It's very real. Nevertheless, let me not fail to acknowledge how far we've come. Hashtag melanin popping, hashtag equality, hashtag black is beautiful. But I still wish to know whether I'm really appreciated or just fetishized. A long way we've come, but an even longer way we have to go, my darling. Ladies and gentlemen, we've barely even started the journey. Get your seatbelts on, because we've still got a long way to go. Hi, I'm Cleo. A bit about me. I enjoy crisps, I like to dance, what else? Oh, and I'm black. But I don't get to say that part, do I? Why? Because I'm different? Because it makes people uncomfortable? Should I whisper it instead? I know, I'll spell it out instead of saying the actual word. B-L-A-C-K. Uncomfortable? You have no idea. No idea of the privilege to learn and not experience. No idea of the privilege to choose whether you want to learn. So what are you going to choose? What is it going to be? Turn a blind eye or show racism the red card?
Okay, I nearly talked over the beginning of that. I'm really very sorry. I think we've got Cleo with us. Cleo, do you want to say a few words? Nope.
Hello?
Cleo, hi. Please do come in and say a few words if you would like to.
Hi, so apologies, I'm in sick form right now. So the Wi-Fi at my school is a bit rubbish right now. I'm going to be quick because I'm still in school.
Okay.
But good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all well and blessed. So yeah, I ended up winning the competition through my spoken word poem, which I titled The Journey, which basically encapsulated how I felt that it's great and it's amazing, and we should most certainly acknowledge how far we've come in terms of a society and in terms of racism, and like that should not be pushed aside whatsoever. Like, it's amazing and it's a blessing, but at the same time we need to acknowledge that we still got a way to go, and there's still a lot of room for improvement, and it's still something that is unfortunately quite prevalent today. It was based on quite a weird time where there was a lot of things in the media, a lot of things in like my personal life, and just a lot of things in general. Like, it was an open conversation that I wasn't blind to. In the poem, the spoken word, I kind of acknowledged that in the sense of through my experience as a Black woman, and in the current day and age, it can be really, really confusing how on one hand you've got people opposing this oppressed narrative that you're never going to amount to anything, you're oppressed and that's the way it's going to be. And then on the other hand, you scroll on Instagram and you see Black is beautiful, Afros are gorgeous, whatnot. So it is really confusing in terms of where do we go from here, where I'm seeing this on one hand, I'm seeing this on one hand, what is it kind of thing. So that basically was what I wanted to encapsulate and what I wanted to communicate. And the competition was a platform by which I could do that, where I could have a healthy conversation and voice something without hypersensualizing it in a way that is not helpful. So I wanted to contribute to the conversation. I wanted to speak about what it was that I wanted to speak about, and that was a platform by which I could do so. The fact that the youth and young people are given such a platform, I think, is important. When hearing about like racism, I've heard one argument that, you know, kids learn things like this. Like I've heard people say a child can't be born with a mindset like that. I've heard things like when it comes to racism, if you want to end it, stop talking about it. And I don't agree with that. I have a grievance with that narrative, because I think we can have healthy conversations, and we should have healthy conversations without magnifying or hypersensualizing something that isn't true. So by speaking out, by asking questions, by communicating something that matters to you, you'd be able to do that. So enter the competition. 2 things that I'd have to say, if you're thinking about entering: be intentional and be creative. So what message do you want to give out? What vision do you have in terms of the conversation that you want to have? What matters to you? And just do everything you can and do your best to put that in whatever form: creative media, speech, art, whatever you want to do, whatever works for you, go ahead and do it. Show racism the red card, and take care, everyone. God bless. Thank you for having me.
Theo, thank you so much for joining us. I'd seen the film of you previously, but I've never had the pleasure of hearing you speak. Talk about be intentional and be creative. That's you to a T. Thank you so much for joining us. It's an absolute pleasure to have had you on here. And talking of absolute pleasure, we now move to our penultimate speaker. He's a former a Premier League footballer. I ought to be able to get this right, shouldn't I, Shaka? How many clubs you played for? Portsmouth, Reading, Newcastle United and West Ham United. And in a career spanning nearly 400 professional performances, he also represented Trinidad and Tobago at the World Cup. And this is really important, I think. You, Shaka, were also named as the inaugural winner of the PFA Special Merit Award for all the tireless work that you've done on anti-racism. And that was in 2005. And you still look good now, 17 years on, when you're still doing all this anti-racist work. We're absolutely delighted that you are so closely linked to Show Racism the Red Card, that you are in some respects the face of Show Racism the Red Card, our honorary president, live from the US. Shaka Hislop, thank you.
Thank you very much, Christine. I'm not sure how I drew the short straw and having to go after Cleo. I mean, how do you follow Cleo? But I'll give it a go. Let me start by thanking Unison and the NEU for years of support, for hosting this year's competition and this video call. I'd also like to thank the sponsors, Kickers, EA Sports, and Usborne Publishing for the support. The support means so much more than just the prizes that may be awarded. It validates the work that we do. It validates the work that so many people give of themselves on a day-to-day basis in an effort to shape a better world for a future generation. I'm also delighted to having been joined and follow on from Rachel, Monty, Kieran and Colin and their respective sports. There's so much I can say about the arts competition. I remember when it first started so many years ago, and I say this as an unashamed left-brained person. I do not have a creative bone in my body. My family has banned me from singing in the shower. No one cares. I haven't gone past drawing stickmen, and my poetry stops at roses are red, violets are blue. Yet still, every single year, and I remember the early days of the competition, going to see the entrance from our school age kids, and Rachel didn't want to use the word because she felt it didn't do artists justice. But I was amazed. It amazed me then, and continues to amaze me now, the breadth of the work that people produce. It highlights, as Steve was pointing out, it highlights how they see the world, how they see the challenges, how they see their own roles in shaping a world in a way that I never thought, and I could never think of, let alone put into a piece of art, be it spoken word as we had from Cleo in last year's winner, or artwork as we often see. Dating back to those early days, left up to me, I wanted every single entrant to be joint winners, which is probably why I've been banned from judging the competition going forward. I say that to make the point that every single entrant, every single entry is valuable to us as an organization. Every single creation speaks to our work and what our work needs to continue to be, and how we need to continue to shape what we do in delivering on a promise that we make to you, the next generation, to you who are submitting the artwork. So please express yourselves. Please do not ever feel ashamed of that expression. It's how we shape our own thinking. It's how we shape our organization and the work that we are to do when we wake up tomorrow morning. So I will echo the calls to have as many entrants as possible. I remain to say, I'll continue to say, it's simply invaluable to everything, to you, to how you express yourselves, and it gives us all something to look back on and cherish for years to come. And for all the work that we do day in, day out, year in, year out, and as Paul mentioned at the very top, we are now in our 26th anniversary. This is my favorite aspect of it. Seeing how young people see the world and giving us a look through at today's world through their own eyes. So thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for your entries to come. I'm looking forward to it. Unfortunately, I can't judge for reasons that I just expressed, but I continue to be amazed by every single piece of work that you produce. I look forward to it wholeheartedly. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Jacques. It's lovely to see you again. It's delightful always to have you on calls. And we're nearly at the end of this launch. So don't forget, this is about the competition. Make sure you join. Make sure you talk to your teachers. If you're students, make sure you talk to your teachers, and so on and so on. And now it's my great pleasure, my genuinely great pleasure, to invite Jed Greby as the founder of Show Racism the Red Card to close this event. I just want to say, though, before he takes the floor, that his lead in this organization, from the small beginnings to the absolutely brilliant organization that it is today, he's been at the heart of that. He's been a driving force for it, and he's just always there. And, you know, I find Shaka very inspiring, but I find Jed inspiring too. Show Racism the Red Card has gone from strength to strength in these 25 years. And I'm going to leave it to Jed to thank everyone who was on today. But I just want to say, Jed, we all thank you too. So please, everyone, welcome the Chief Executive of Show Racism the Red Card, Jed Greby.
And thank you, Christine, for chairing today's launch of the schools competition. We would much rather have had this launch, as we normally do, in Unison's headquarters in London, with all our friends around us. But this is the next best at the moment. But we're really looking forward to have the award ceremonies in person this year. In starting off, I'd just like to say the highlight of last year for me was actually meeting Cleo in her school, along with Kevin Courtney, to announce she was the overall winner. I think she showed again today what an incredible young person she is. and what an inspiring young person she is. I know she gets nervous before she speaks, but you would never know it, Cleo. We definitely want you as our young ambassador going into this year, and we want you to help us present the awards, certainly in England when we have the announcement of the award ceremonies taking place. So, but what an inspiration to why young people should take part. The Black Lives Matter movement over the last 2 years has inspired everybody at Show Racism Red Card, and I'm sure it's inspired people in your schools. It's had a massive impact on us as a charity, both in public support that we've had, but also in the schools competition itself. The quality of the entries is shot up, and I think it's because of young people's involvement in anti-racist education. And we're delighted at the quality of last year's entries. Last year, we had 27,500 young people take part across the UK. That was in 452 schools. Now, we want to increase that this year, and we think we can. Just from this call alone, we've got a couple of incentives for anybody listening now. Go online and you can get 10 copies. The first 10 schools that sign up from today will get a copy of our new book with Usborne books. There are 2 books. There are this one here, and there is the What is Racism book. You heard earlier from Usborne Publishers, it's a fantastic partnership we have. We can give the schools that sign up today, the first 10 schools, 1 copy of each book as an incentive to take part. We also have our new calendar, which features all the fantastic work from last year. And the first 10 schools to sign up will get 50 copies of the calendar sent to their schools. So please take part. Anybody who hasn't got the calendar, email Ennis at the Red Card, and we will get the calendar dispatched to you. We really do want to make sure that this year's schools competition is bigger than better. I think in particular, the prize from EA Sports is an incredible prize. To have your winning piece of work incorporated into the FIFA game. Now, I'll be honest about it, I don't play FIFA 23 or 22 or whatever it is, but my grandson does, and I know how big it is and how big an honour it'll be for that winning bit of work to be take part in that. In Scotland, the winning pieces of artwork are going to be made into banners, and we hope that the 42 football clubs in Scotland will display those winning banners. And we also want to make sure that the winning artwork is used in so many other creative ways. So, for example, we're doing winning boots, winning boot designs. Converse All-Stars, we want you to come on board with us and make sure those boots are actually made into proper boots. But also, Dr. Martens, why don't you come on board and help us? Similarly, we want to make the winning T-shirts into proper T-shirts this year. You know, we think that, for example, Asda, George, you should come on board. We've been a sponsor of our campaign. We've had some incredible sponsorship from you. Come on, let's get those T-shirts into your shops, and let's turn this competition from just winning artwork created in a calendar to winning work that goes out in shops throughout the country. I'll finish by saying, obviously, the teachers, the teaching assistants and the head teachers are key to us in making sure this school competition goes ahead. But we have some announcements to make that will hopefully make sure that you, if you're taking part in Wales, that you make sure you sign up your school. So the ceremony in Wales will take place on Thursday, the 26th of May in the Marriott Hotel. Kevin, we hope you're going to present the prizes again. Kevin, Courtney, I know you're going to provide an iPad for the winning school in England and Wales. We hope you'll present those prizes on the 26th of May in the Cardiff Marriott Hotel. Book that date in your diary for Wales. In Scotland, the following day, the 27th of May, the Friday, we're at Hampden, the home of Scottish football, as we always are, in the lecture theatre with the help of the Scottish FA and the help of Scottish football to present the prizes throughout the whole of Scotland. Let's make the Scottish competition the biggest and best ever. In England, we've yet to pick the club. And as Paul Kane said, Liverpool, if you're listening, Arsenal, if you're listening, Manchester United, if you're listening, and of course, the biggest club in England, Newcastle United, if you're listening. We are yet to pick our winning team, our venue, but it will be a Premier League team hosting this year's competition. So we will be announcing that, though, seriously, at the end of this month, and announcing what club we're at. Finally, in finishing, I'm going to finish with a quote from our other vice president who can't be with us, Leroy Rossignol, who is taking part in televising, commentating rather than the African Nations Cup. Otherwise, as vice president, Leroy Rossignol would have been here. He said last year to young people, the greatest prize you will get in this competition isn't the awards you're going to get, isn't the footballs, the books, and the other prizes that we're presenting you. It is the message that anti-racist education will be embedded in your school. And that's exactly what Show Racism Red Card want. That's what this competition is about. We believe we can leave a lasting legacy. We believe the Black Lives Matter movement gives us an opportunity as a society to do that. We want anti-racism on the curriculum. We applaud the Welsh Government for doing that, but we want anti-racism on the curriculum throughout the whole of the UK. So thank you for everybody for taking part. Thank you to our chair and all our fantastic speakers. Sign up now to the Show Racism Red Card Competition 2022. Thank you.
Jed, thank you so much. And with absolutely exquisitely perfect timing, we come to the end of this launch event. So I just repeat Jed's thanks to everybody who came on the call, everybody who spoke, and of course, obviously to our sponsors and supporters. And let's hope we can really meet in person at some stage this year and celebrate the fantastic work that I'm sure that we're going to see from lots and lots and lots and lots of young people and their teachers in the schools competition. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.